Hello again, friends, and welcome to another segment here on Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. As you can see here on the table, I'm flanked by a virtual army of wonderful substances. Tonight, what I'd like to do is share with you a little bit about all of these, because my one topic is the topic of liqueurs. Those are those things that when you go into the liquor store, depending on how they have them arranged, you usually find them under the area called cordials. So tonight I'm going to focus on the concept of liqueurs, talk a little bit about them, simplify them, and share with you the liqueurs that I have in my collection, which are by no means a total representation of all of them that are out there. Believe me, this is only a small sample, because these are the things that I like and the things that I use to make my drinks and my cocktails. So to start that off, I have pre-mixed the drink, and I'm going to talk about that one first, because I like to have something to sip while we're talking. So let me tell you what this drink is. This drink is one that I found at a local restaurant. It was called at the time a Resurgent because it had three ingredients. It had Resurgent bourbon, which is a bourbon made locally here in Pennsylvania. It had some Luxardo cherry liqueur, which I'm going to share with you in a minute. And it also had some sweet vermouth. Each of those in one part, one, and one. So when I say 1 part per, that doesn't mean you can't have 2 ounces, but everything else then has to match it in the ratio. So just use your good math skills. And if it's 1, 1, 1 and you want to double, you just double everything when you make the drink. Because if you take it out of balance, you lose the value and you lose the flavor of what the cocktail was originally intended to do. And the final touch on this drink called the Resurgent, and I'll share you the recipe. I did not invent this drink. I stole it from someone, is to dump a nice little Luxardo cherry in it. It's very sweet and savory at the same time. If you've never seen Luxardo cherries, some people make their own. You can go buy them. They are not cheap, and there's only 10 calories per cherry, so it's really not that bad. I happen to use Buffalo Trace bourbon here in this drink. We're not really going to talk about that much, but we are going to talk about all of the liqueurs here on the table. But before I do that, let me say cheers and welcome, and let me take a sip for you. Perfect balance of sweetness, a little bit of the fire and the alcohol. The sweet vermouth adds a little bit of little bitterness to it. So it's really a wonderful, I had it in the summer the first time I ever had it, but it's perfect now here in the winter season. It's perfect year round. I always put it in a glass that looks like this, and I always make sure that it's chilled. So I'll be sipping this Resurgent as we talk. So let me start out by talking about the whole concept of a cordial. A cordial is generally something that you wouldn't call an aperitif, that you just sip on its own. There are a lot of alcohols out there that you can sip as aperitifs. Some people like to sip Kahlua, although that is technically a liqueur. You can sip these, but they're generally not sippers. They're meant to be used in, quote, cocktails or mixed drinks. Now, if you go out there on the internet verse and Google the difference between a cocktail and a mixed drink, it's going to be like arguing politics. So, as I told you, I don't talk about politics here on my posts. All I can tell you is that these cordials generally go in with something else. So whether you want to call it a cocktail or a mixed drink, have at it. But I do want to talk to you about all of these here, as they represent a fantastic way to take your gin, your bourbon, your tequila, your vodka, your brandy, and turn it up a notch and make something that is spectacular. So let me start by talking about liqueurs in general. Liqueurs and cordials, I'll call them again, just to simplify. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here or make this a scientific episode. But your liqueurs fall into a lot of classes. Basically what liqueurs are are distilled spirits, but they are distilled by adding a bunch of sugar. They are very sweet, and that's not a bad thing to help balance out some of the roughness that you get with gin and bourbon and whiskeys and things like that. And they come from some neutral spirit. It could be grain, it could be potato like in vodka, it could be wine spirits, and then that goes through the distillation process. A lot of different things are added to that process to come out with the products that you see here on the table. And these liqueurs generally are mixed with very, very strong spirits. So my caution to you is, while I do like to talk about all things alcohol, I always want to represent to you that usually when you're making one of these is where you should stop, because these are very, very powerful drinks. And all I say is just do it in moderation. If you want to have yourself one of these resurgents, have one and walk away. Don't do any more, they're too strong. This is pure alcohol in this glass. And I would caution you all, again, not to become a lecturer, but just keep that in mind when you're using these substances. So having said that, these substances, liqueurs as we're calling them, usually the lowest ABV that you'll see is 15%. So they're 30 proof, and they range all the way up. They can be as high as 40%, which is the same proof as some gins, some whiskeys, some scotches, some bourbons. So some of them can get very strong. So if you're going to combine them with something else, you're drinking an alcohol bomb. So again, be careful. But this is just to give you a definition of what a cordial or a liqueur is. So they fall into a lot of classes, and I have a number of classes represented here on the table. And I can tell you, I did my research. There are so many liqueurs that I don't have. I'd have to have a liquor store to have them all. Some of them, frankly, I don't like. I don't want to drink them. So I'm sharing with you the ones that I have and urging you to go get the ones and continue to use the ones that you might like without maybe even knowing they're liqueurs. So the first class of them that we have are ones that are herbal. They classify them as herbal liqueurs, and that would be like a chartreuse. Then you get into your bitter. I have one here on the table, like Campari is considered, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Campari is considered a bitter type of liqueur. Then you have your fruit-based, which is this Luxardo. It's made with cherries. This is the one that's in my drink. This stuff's not cheap. I would caution you, none of these are going to get you out of the liquor store for like a $10 bottle of wine. That's just not going to happen. And there are coffee-based ones, for those of you who remember drinking Kahlua. That's a liqueur. I have Frangelico here on the table. It's an old bottle. Truth be told, I've had this one so long, I did the research on it. It said once you have it for more than 6 months opened, you should get rid of it because it loses its flavor. I opened this one. It still smells like hazelnut. It's a hazelnut liqueur. They recommend you pour it in coffee. Maybe some of you already do that. I'm not a big Frangelico drinker. I might have even gotten this from my in-laws back in the day before they passed away. So this one's been around this household a long time. Truth be told, after this presentation, it's going down the drain because it has lost a little bit of its aroma. There are also emulsion style liqueurs like Bailey's Irish Cream. Not something for me. There are, I talked about fruit. A lot of them are citrus. I have a bunch of blood orange, and I'm going to talk about all of them for a very reason because they're very important in certain drinks. There's whiskey-based liqueurs like Drambuie and Southern Comfort, believe it or not. As I did my research, I used to drink Southern Comfort before I was of drinking age. We used to go get a bottle of Southern Comfort and mix it with soda, and oh, that was not a good thing. However, it is not a whiskey. It is considered a liqueur because it is a whiskey-based liqueur that has some orange in it. And then there are almond-based ones, which I talked about here, nut-based ones. And so that kind of covers the broad spectrum. Already slipping over my words here of liqueurs. So what I'd like to do in a quick fashion, so as not to turn this into a liquor store tour, is walk you through the liqueurs that I have in my bar. So I'm going to start with the one that I used in this drink. And this one is called Luxardo Maraschino. It comes from Italy. They actually say here delicious on fruit salads, strawberries, raspberries, kiwi, and pineapple. So you can just pour it over that. This one is 32 ABV. That's strong. That's like 64 proof. So when you put this in a drink, like this one I have here, this is the last one of those I'll have tonight. And then you throw these Luxardo cherries in here. It's a wonderful flavor. If you don't like cherry, you're not going to like it because it is a cherry bomb. But it really helps smooth out the bourbon, and it really combines well with the sweet vermouth that I have in this drink. And just for a little plug for sweet vermouth, I only use Carpano Antica formula. It's very expensive, but I'll tell you what, when you use a cheap sweet vermouth, your drink suffers. Enough said. So let me go then to the other, since we're in the fruit, let me stick to the fruit ones here. I have here for you something called Salerno. Salerno is a unique blood orange liqueur, and it is made from the oil of Sicily's blood red oranges. It's actually made in Spain, but they actually tell you can use this one as an aperitif. You can take this one, and that's common that you'll find with these liqueurs. They can actually function as aperitifs if you tamp them down a little bit. So what they tell you right here on the back of the bottle, for a refreshing aperitif, add to soda water and lime, garnish with a slice of blood orange and a touch of mint. I can't imagine how good that is. I can tell you how I use this one. I love this one with Blue Coat gin, a little bit of tonic, and a blood orange slice. Pop it in a glass, stir it up. Wonderful, fantastic, refreshing summer drink. Salerno. This is not always easy to find. So let's put that one aside. And then in its same class, I'm going to put these three out here together because I started to develop a little bit of a tequila habit. And they talk about making margaritas needing triple sec. And I'm not going to get into the using Diet Coke, or we're only talking about liqueurs here, whether you need simple syrup. That's another topic. So these four products here are all orange-based liqueurs, which go fantastic in many, many drinks, especially tequila-based drinks. Now this first one here is actually made by Patron. It's made in Mexico, and it is called the Extra Fine Orange Liqueur, and it's called Citronge, and it's produced and bottled in Mexico. It's fantastic. Let me take a little sniff here for you. Wonderful little hint of orange. Perfect in a margarita. Then you have here your quintessential Cointreau. Cointreau is great to be paired with tequila. They also tell you to use it in a sidecar, in a Cosmo, in a White Lady. All of those classic cocktails. And then finally, you can substitute in for that something called Grand Marnier. And Grand Marnier is a cognac-based liqueur, and there are others. Brandy itself can be considered a liqueur, but I did a brandy spot for you. I love drinking my brandy straight. I don't like mixing it. I've even tried a few drinks with brandy. I really don't prefer them. So this one is 40% ABV. This one's a strong one. So it's 51% cognac and 49% orange liqueur. And Grand Marnier is not inexpensive. What a wonderful, wonderful aroma. So those are considered fruit-based liqueurs, made with neutral grain spirits, distilled, and the flavors are put in there. I don't know the processes. A lot of these manufacturers do not share that. It's like a trade secret. I'll talk about that when we get to Campari. That is so wonderful. I do want to put in a plug for a local for us, Five Saints It's a distillery in Norristown. They also make their own blood orange liqueur. It's 50 proof, 25% ABV. Again, not for the weak of heart. It says here, with family roots in Tuscany and strong Italian heritage, we were inspired to create our own blood orange liqueur. And I'll stop reading there, but you can find this for you Pennsylvania folks. It's very, very big on the orange. Not so much like these. These are more muted. This one's a big orange bomb. It's fantastic. I love it. Sometimes I can't find Salerno when I run out of it, and this is my backup. So you can see here, I haven't used much of it. So let me move those orange boys out of the way. So now we can go to, let's move that over here. Let's go to what I would call the bitter type of aperitif, because I use it a lot. And that is one of my favorites here, called Campari. And Campari is the main ingredient for me in a Negroni. You can use barrel-aged gin, you can use regular gin, you can make a bourbon Negroni. And a Negroni simply means 1 part Campari, 1 part sweet vermouth, and then you can decide what other spirit you want to put in it. Now, when you do what's called a bourbon Negroni, you're really making that drink called a Boulevardier. And I've talked about that one before. It's 1 part bourbon, it's 1 part Campari, and it's 1 part sweet vermouth. Fantastic. And you can sprinkle some bitters, which you can get in the supermarket by Angostura. And the Campari is just, this is one of those drinks that'll kill you if you ever found out the recipe. It's from Italy, and they tell you right on the back of the bottle. Just go buy a bottle. You don't need to go on the internet. Here's their recipe. 1 ounce of Campari, 1 ounce of, they say Cinzano Rosso vermouth. I would say Camparno Antica, and 1 ounce of gin. Now remember, I always say 1 part. I always make myself a double because I know I'm going to want a second drink, so I get it out of the way in one time. If you just double the amount, the drink's going to taste the same. You're just going to get more of it. It's not going to get any stronger. You're just going to have more of it. So for the Negroni, they talk about how to make it. It's on the back of the bottle, and you can do a lot with this Campari. This Campari is not inexpensive. I'm not going to kid you, but it's also going to last you a long time because you only use 1 ounce or 2 at a time. And unless you're having parties or having a lot of people over to have these drinks, and if you're just drinking it at home alone, you'll have it a while. So there's your Campari. It's bitter. It's called, and the reason they call them bitter has to do with the type of ingredients that they use for the infusion. A lot of bark, a lot of bitter roots and flavors. They don't tell you. I can't tell you. If I could tell you, they would probably hunt me down. So there's your Campari. Now I do want to talk about another bitter, and it's also made by Luxardo, but this is called the Bitter Bianco. And this one, I can tell you a story about this one. I saw this one on the internet because obviously the internet's following me and knows I like to have these drinks, so they flashed in, oh, have you tried the white Negroni? And I went, I don't know what a white Negroni is. Well, a white Negroni is what I just described to you with this substituted in for the Campari. And it makes a very, very summery type drink. It's a little lighter, but it is still a fantastic flavor. And it's bitter because of the ingredients in it, but it's made by Luxardo. I'm not going to kid you. Good luck trying to find it. I bought 2 bottles, and I still have both of them because I don't use it a lot because I don't want to have to. I bought it in Baltimore, and that's not because I drove down to Baltimore. Some of my family lives on the way. So I got it in Baltimore, and I bought 2 bottles, and I haven't had to buy any since. So those are the 2 bitter types of liqueurs. So now I want to come over. Aperol kind of falls into this. I'm going to put this one in here now because people talk about this. This is also an aperitif. This is famous for the Aperol Spritz, which is a big Italian drink. You use it with Prosecco, throw some of this in. It's 3 parts Prosecco, 2 parts of the Aperol, and a little splash of soda. I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fan. As you can see, I bought this bottle a while ago, and I have not had a lot of it. That's another thing that you can include. A lot of people like it. I'm just telling you that it's not my favorite. We've already talked about our buddy here, Frangelico. They say this is great in coffee. I would imagine this is great over some kind of walnut cake or something. I'll bet you it has fantastic uses. After I pour this one away, I may go get a small bottle because it actually looks like something I might want to try. So let me go to the last two that I have here on the table. And I know in my previous spots, I've talked to you about both, well, one of them, I know that for sure. And I'm going to start with that one because I want to end with one that's new. The one that I have talked to you about is this wonderful liqueur called Saint Germain. And it has so many uses. It's made from elderflower. And it has such a wonderful, I'm going to actually smell it. I haven't had it in a while. It's got a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of honey. It is worldwide famous. You're going to see some substitutes. And I'm going to tell you, spend the money. Look at that wonderful bottle. The bottle is just like a keepsake. But you don't have to, because you can get it anytime you want. They actually make a smaller bottle too. This one's north of $30. But the wonderful drinks that you can make, and I always save these little books that they give you when you spend your money for the drink. But this is a French drink, and it's made from elderflower blossoms. And I'm going to read to you briefly, because we're running a little long here, some of my favorite drinks that you can make from this. The first thing that you can make from this is the very simple Saint Germain cocktail. Are you ready for this? Sparkling wine, 2 shots, shot and a half of Saint Germain, and top it off with club soda and throw in a lemon. It's the best summer drink ever. Then you can make the pear martini for you vodka drinkers. Pear vodka, Saint Germain, and fresh lime juice. Does that sound yummy? And then you can make the Margarita. You can use this with tequila, Saint Germain, fresh lime juice. I can't imagine that that's bad. And then there's simply the thing they call the Saint. It's Saint Germain, gin, and tonic water. So you top off your gin and tonic with a little bit of this Saint Germain, and you have what is called in French, le Saint. So there you have it. I mean, I can tell you that one with the champagne, I make a double and I put it in a big glass, and that, 2 or 3 of those, and I'm going to go back. Don't do more than 2 because they are absolutely fantastic. So there it is, another liqueur in Doc G's cellar, Saint Germain. And the final one that I want to end with is one that is also, you notice most of these are from France or Italy. Not that we don't do them, but this one is called Domaine de Canton. And it is French ginger liqueur. It is 28% alcohol by volume. And I'm going to open this one because I haven't had this one in a while. It's so aromatic. Smells like 7-Up that's been alcoholized. The ginger in this is absolutely fantastic. If you love ginger and that little bit of snap that you get from ginger, you're going to love this and should try a drink with it. I can tell you the first time that I ever found out about this involved Hendrick's gin, a lime, and this. A little bit of Hendrick's, a little bit of this, and the lime, and it just kicks that Hendrick's up beyond belief because the cucumber is the base of Hendrick's gin, and that cucumber, lime, ginger combination cannot beat it. So now again, recipes, free when you get them on the bottle. I always let these here. So let me read to you what Domaine de Canton suggests. Here, Gold Rush, small batch bourbon, Domaine de Canton, fresh lime juice. I haven't even tried that one. I can't wait. I didn't even know that one was there. They have a Skinny Mule, vodka, Domaine de Canton, lime juice, and club soda. You can also do a ginger margarita. Blanco tequila, Domaine de Canton, lime juice. Ginger Bellini, Domaine de Canton, Prosecco, peach puree. A Ginger Collins, gin, Domaine de Canton, fresh lime juice, and club soda. That's what I just described to you, minus the club soda. I just used tonic. And this, my friend, is also north of $30. But I've had this one, and you can see here, it's been sitting around here. They do keep, if you keep them in the dark, don't keep them in sunlight, keep them tightly closed, and a lot of these will last you forever. So on that note, I want to make one final recommendation because I like to be intellectual. So my wife bought me this wonderful book. I forget what it was for, but you can see here there's some green tabs in here that signal out a lot of drinks that use every one of these ingredients here on the table. The book is called Cocktail Hour, and it has a Philadelphia connection. The editors and authors are from the Philadelphia area. When I opened the inside cover, I saw a bottle of Blue Coat gin, and I went, that book has credibility. So it's a good book for you to look up. I would, we spend a lot of our time, just looking up everything on the internet. These books are nice to have because you can put them down, you can look at the recipe, you have it forever. And believe it or not, you don't have to do, it's one source right in your hand. And maybe I'm aging myself, but I love this book. It's got recipes for old fashions, for boulevardiers, for the French 43 or whatever the number is. French 75. That's not one of my drinks. It's got recipes in for all kinds of margaritas and tequila drinks. It's got recipes in for everything that's here on this table with you tonight. So all I can say is thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you joined me. And the next time you have a cocktail, you may want to look back on what I said here and hopefully purchase one of these, or if you have some, I missed so many, I could go on 3 or 4 more minutes telling you all of the liqueurs that have been missed. But I only wanted to share with you what I have here in my bar. And I hope somehow that leads you to a fantastic cocktail or mixed drink down the road. So until we meet again, cheers.